All right. Okay, everybody. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for coming out. Um, thank you for your patience as well. We are trying to get things going, and tech has this way of doing its thing. So, but now we are now ready to go. So, um, here we go. So today, just wanna just thank you for all coming and welcome to the Kennedy Heights, the Church of Christ that meets at Kennedy Heights for our artificial intelligence and your health presentation. Um, my wife, Anthereca, and I are really excited about this opportunity. And so, without any further ado, today's objectives, we're going to just do a really very, very, very brief history of artificial intelligence. What is artificial intelligence? What and examples of a few examples of artificial intelligence. Using artificial intelligence responsibly, and then Christians and the use of technological rather advances and from a biblical perspective, as well as AI and your health. So I am not the foremost person in AI. However, this is just kind of more of an introductory uh, presentation, but along with these objectives in mind. So I'll take my glasses off. It's a better that way. All right. So, what is artificial intelligence? So, it refers to computer systems designed to perform tasks that normally require human intelligence. These tasks include learning from data, recognizing patterns, and understanding language, solving problems, and making decisions. The one thing I do want to acknowledge is that there are many in the audience today who have experience with AI, just in meeting folks and having conversations with folks. There are folks who are looking at AI from the corporate level to the consumer level. So there's a varying degrees of knowledge in this room. So I do not want to insult anyone's intelligence with what I'm presenting today. So, all right. And so, how long has AI existed? It's actually been around since the 1950s. Um, but with that, um, it was really basic. So artificial intelligence was first used in a conference at Dartmouth College. Since then, AI has evolved significantly due to advances in computing power, data, and algorithms. So as I look at the room, how many of you guys remember the 5.25-inch floppy disk? So that thing was, if you want to really call it a floppy disk, it was a floppy disk. It was just kind of flopping around everywhere. But imagine going from that floppy disk now to the thumb drive, right? So the amount of data that was on that little floppy disk compared to a thumb drive today, right? So all the advances from that time to now, right? MS DOS, when there was no Windows to what we have today, right? So technology has grown and developed substantially over time. And so, along with that, the opportunity to get more and more into AI. So, some examples of AI. So, machine learning. So, as I was doing some research, there's kind of like a nested structure when you look at AI, and it goes from like something basic as machine learning all the way up to, oh shoot, I'll get the proper term, but we'll get to that in a minute. So, machine learning is a type of AI that enables computers to learn from data rather than being explicitly programmed. So, if we're looking at COBOL, you would type in whatever you got to do, you program it, and it does the job. However, AI, you can still teach it, but it starts to learn and grow. So instead of doing that basic thing where you know that program does this particular thing, AI actually, in its most advanced forms, actually can automate. So the system identifies patterns in data and improves its performance over time as it processes more examples. And so for some simple examples are spam filters, which sends your junk mail into the mail that would go into junk mail, for example. Amazon, YouTube, getting recommendations from that. Getting recommendations if you're on social media, and it's sending you material, sending you things because based on your scrolling and all that kind of stuff. Credit card fraud detection systems and predictive text suggestions on your smartphones. How many of you guys love autocorrect? I don't like it because there are times where it's not auto-correcting properly. But that's an example of machine learning. Generative AI. So ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot. So these are some of the things that, some examples of that. So generative AI is a type of AI that can create new content such as text, images, music, or videos based on patterns it's learned from existing data. Instead of just analyzing information, it produces something new. All right. And so we do have those examples. Chat GPT, we'll be looking at that a little bit today. Gemini, Claude, Microsoft Copilot. So these things can write emails, it can write lesson plans, it can write summaries, it can create images, it can just give it prompts to create whatever image you want to create, and it can create some very generic or more advanced, depending upon the system, images. Music. So there's a program, Even Labs or Sound Draw, that can produce music. And systems that create presentations such as Canva, Magic Studio. How many of you guys are familiar with Canva? So Canva in its inception was just, hey, I can make some slides. Now it can actually automate and create things for you with the right prompting. So it's things are just growing and changing exponentially. Deep learning. So there's a deep learning is more an advanced form of machine learning that uses large neural networks molded after the human brain, modeled rather. It's especially effective at processing complex data like images, audio, and natural language. So examples of that are facial recognition programs, like on your smartphone, speech to text tools, self-driving car vision systems, and medical imaging. Recently, has anybody been to the doctor recently? Now, we're not talking about medical imaging, but usually now I went to the doctor recently and they're like, hey, would you like, or are you open to, what is the program again? DAX Copilot. And so it will translate your conversation with your doctor while you're in the room. So that helps productivity for the physician so they don't have to go back and do all the typing and everything. But it's not perfect. So there's still some typing that still has to happen from the user side for the physician, but it is they're trying. These things are designed to help make things better, easier to do. Lastly, well, two more AI agents. So these systems are designed to perform tasks or make decisions on the user's behalf. They can follow instructions, use tools, and take steps to achieve a goal, even with limited human input. So these are virtual assistants that schedule meetings or set reminders, customer service chatbots, AI tools that monitor emails and flag urgent messages, and systems that automatically update calendars or task lists. Some examples of that, like you can tweak Monday.com to automate things. So examples like that. Agentic, that's why I missed that word, because that word is my eldest daughter. We were having a chat a while ago, and she dropped that word on me, agentic AI. It's like, what is agentic AI? It's like, what is that? That's a new made up word? What is that? So when we're really talking about the AI and really the things that it can do, agentic AI is actually doing multiple functions for you. So in the corporate world, you can use, I don't have all the different programs you can use, but there are automated things to help with calculations and um, uh, scheduling. And if you do logistics and all that kind of stuff, you can start planning all that stuff out. And so if something happens, it can then change on the fly without user input. So it kind of almost thinks on its own within the realm of its construct. But agentic AI refers to AI systems that can plan, reason, act independently towards a goal. These systems can decide what steps to take, adapt when conditions change, and coordinate multiple actions over time. So, so yeah, that's some pretty cool stuff. So she used to work, my eldest daughter used to work for Microsoft on Copilot, which is why she told me about Agentic. And so she left Microsoft, and now she's with, shoot. Man, it was right on the tip of my tongue. So pardon my nervousness, but we'll keep moving on. So examples of it, it'll pop back in my head in a moment. So machine learning some data, generative AI creates content, deep learning handles complex data, AI agents assist with tasks, and agentic AI acts independently towards goals. So what are some limitations of AI? It depends on the data the quality of the data it receives. So as we all know, junk in, junk out, right? So AI is only as good as the data that is trained on. So the data, if the data is incomplete, outdated, or biased, the AI results can be inaccurate or unfair. It can make mistakes. So AI may provide responses that sound correct but are actually wrong. It does not truly understand information the way humans do. Lacks human judgment and empathy. AI does not have emotions, values, morals, or lived experience. It's a computer algorithm. It is a program. It cannot replace human relationships, compassion, or ethical decision making. And then lastly, no common sense or context awareness. So AI struggles with nuance, sarcasm, and complex social or cultural situations that humans navigate naturally. Um, Now, the interesting thing is there are programs now where if, like you say, you have a really introverted child, there's AI that can learn that child and befriend that child and have conversations with that child. And so it's really interesting how this technology, that good or bad, is used, or where we can go with it. So bias. So when I took a little course for my to renew my license, that was one of the things that we really focused on with bias. AI can intentionally reinforce stereotypes or biases found in its training data. So depending upon the data that the machine data that was used to help start that AI program to the things that it's been getting or whatever, it can be biased in its output. It cannot think independently. So AI does not have original thoughts, beliefs, or intentions. It responds based on patterns, not understanding. And then lastly, privacy rather, and security risks. So improper use of AI can raise concerns about data privacy, confidentiality, misuse of information. Now, with that said, AI is a powerful tool, but it requires human oversight, critical thinking, and ethical use. So one of the things that we talk about, and my wife asks, like, people ask, what's the difference between like Google and AI? Like, you can Google anything. Like, hey, how to do this, how to do that. Well, using Google, you search for information, right? Google gives you a list, websites of resources, right, and links. You're doing the reading and comparing and discerning and the research for that with that information, and you are responsible for evaluating the accuracy of that information or identifying bias in that information. So using AI, you can prompt AI. I am a this. You can even create a personality in AI. So I'll use my profession. I am a principal at a small alternative school. I would like to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And then the more that I keep asking that, it'll say, well, that's a great question. That's a great this. You're a principal doing this. So this might be a great idea for the kids and da 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 da. So then it's yeah, it's responding back. So it's pretty good. It's kind of cool, but it takes time to get there, right? If you run it right off the top, it'll just respond. But as you use it more, you kind of create a personality with it, and then it kind of responds to you. So you say, "Hey, Marvin, great idea," or whatever. So it's pretty interesting. So AI summarizes, explains, or creates a response for you, kind of in that situation. Hey, I need a quick lesson plan. I would like to do this with this grade, da, 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 with these right objectives, goals, da, 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 and it'll spit out some stuff. So pretty cool. So AI can analyze, rewrite, brainstorm, or generate examples, but you still must check for accuracy. You still got to check that and think critically. So so AI helps you to use the information, whereas like Google will present you with resources for you to use and discern and study and do all your research. So AI does not replace thinking, it supports thinking. And Google finds the information, AI helps you to make sense of it. All right. So rule of thumb, AI is a support tool, not a substitute for human responsibility, ethics, or care. But it's a very good resource. So I found this. Now, this was from Popular Mechanics, and it was in Popular Mechanics. This was January of 2025. And I don't know if you guys can see that very well, but ChatGPT, now that actually number has grown significantly since last year, but at the time, 4.7 billion users use ChatGPT. So there are a lot of people out there just using that alone. So there are, Canva was second at the time of this graphic at 887 million users in the month of January. And so AI is popular. There are some other programs from China that are also making a lot of gains in the space as well. So it's not going anywhere. So AI is here to stay, and it's going to keep growing. From a political perspective, we're not getting into politics, but there's all this talk now also about how do we regulate AI? Because people are fearful that their jobs are going to be taken and all these other kinds of things because it's growing in its development. So if I was a person in logistics, if it can do my logistics for me, I don't have a job. So there's things to think about as we look at AI and where it's going and how we can use it to our benefit. It would not hurt to learn as much as you can about it because it's going to be in our places of work anyway. It may not necessarily take your job, but it can help automate and streamline things because that would be the goal. So,
Brother Bank, just to add to that too, companies are creating their own. So my wife works in my home; they have their own AI, and I'm at Huffy, and we have Covation, so you can kind of monitor. And you can go home and use ChatGPT and all the others, but some companies, that's how they're safeguarding. There's a lot of information coming in.
Yeah. Bill?
Here this past week, I don't forget what the number is, but Amazon announced a huge layoff. And if I throw the number of 30,000 people out there, I think that's about right. Part of the justification was they were replacing all these people.
It seems like when other schools are
There's nothing those people were doing.
Logistical
Yeah. It's
remember the person who did all the transportation.
White collar jobs maybe gone
because AI. So there's a lot of things. So, all right, that's my part.
Nice job.
I do have a question, Marvin.
Yeah.
Maybe Anthereca is going to deal with it. But you know how I read articles about kids involved with this stuff, and it's like they don't have the brain maturity or anything to understand. This is not a real person. This is not a real friend. It's like there's some negative aspects to this for the uninformed or uneducated, however you want to say it.
Yeah, there's a lot of just kind of like with how the internet is designed, right? So the internet, great. If you're looking for specific things, great. If you're looking for not so great things, it's out there too. So we just have to just keep working with our kids and making sure that hey, we instruct them and help them to understand that this is a tool, this is something we can use. Going on that subject too, I want to get off the subject for a hot minute, but even using it in school to write the reports and all those kinds of things, right? So kids are smart enough if they have that access, they can
do their math
problems for them, and then they'll just copy it down. And so there's positives and negatives with it as well. So this is teaching our kids. We are the ones who help teach our kids what they can and what they cannot do, how to use this and how not to use this. So, yeah. as best we can.
To your example, AI can be used against itself as well. Our daughter is a senior at UC, and she's also a teaching assistant. And when kids use AI to write their papers, they have an AI product that goes in and reads it. No, this is not original work.
Yep.
Hear about the lady in Japan that marries her avatar, her AI generated avatar.
No.
No.
She's legally married, even though it's not recognized. She's married to her avatar. She fell in love with it.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But-
Well, yeah. Well, thank you, Marvin.
Thank you.
Principal Marvin. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we didn't get to talk about our backgrounds. Marvin, as he mentioned, is a principal. He has a master's degree in information systems management, and he just has always had this interest in technology. And I'm an OBGYN by professionally. So, and I just have a lot of interest in a lot of different things, but, and one of them is AI. So, we are not experts, but we use it often, and we want it to be able to give you all basically kind of get rid of the fear of AI and start beginning to think, even as Christians, what are some tools that we can use to begin to discern when AI is used appropriately or not. So we're going to talk about that. So AI in healthcare is already around us and often behind the scenes. And as Marvin said, DAX Copilot is a new program that doctors are using, and it's recording our conversation. And actually, you give consent when you register most times for your appointment. I often make a habit of asking my patients, is it okay? Because they're like, I did what? I signed what? Huh? I didn't know. You know, they had no idea that they gave permission for me to use the DAX Copilot. And that's part of the requirement, is that we have to have consent. And basically what it does is it records our entire conversation, but generates a progress note from that based on categories and keywords, and really is supposed to help with our overall productivity and efficiency. I'm still kind of working on that. I think it helps with some visits, others not so much, but still working on that.
So
Yeah.
does it give a printout to the patient in layman's terms? What was all?
Well,
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily give a printout, but if you have, for example, access to my chart, you will have access to your progress note, and you can actually, once the doctor signs it, you can actually read what it says. And as physicians, we do need to go through and read it and make sure before we sign it that, yeah, that's what she said and that's what she meant, because sometimes things are taken out of context, so you need to kind of fix them a little bit. So there's a lot of pressure to produce. There's a lot of pressure to see a lot of patients. Sometimes you get in the habit of, I'm just going to sign, I'm going to sign. But I think physicians are going to learn, and nurse practitioners and midwives and all the healthcare providers are going to learn that, okay, we got to pause a moment and make sure this is correct. And that's what you all should do too when you get your my chart and say, you know, that's not exactly what I meant, or that's not what I said, you know. So anyway, so AI is in clinics and hospitals. It helps to analyze x-rays, CT scans, MRIs. It flags abnormal labs and vital signs early and assists us with documentation and charting. And in treatment and care, it supports medication safety, checking medication doses. It helps identify patients at risk for complications and assists with chronic disease monitoring. It's always helpful when you're prescribing a medication and it says, oh, this patient is on this medicine. You may want to be concerned because it can cause this and that problem. That's AI helping us, and in some ways really improving the quality of care that we can potentially provide. And in health systems, it improves our scheduling, our patient flow. It reduces the administrative burden on clinicians and can identify gaps in care and follow-up needs. AI is often used to support clinical decisions, but it really should not be used to replace clinicians. So once again, it's often used to support clinical decisions, but should not be used to replace clinicians. So patients and families are using AI as well to understand their health information, to obtain help with daily health decisions, and even for mental and emotional support. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that and how you do need to be careful when it comes to your mental and emotional support. So, what AI cannot do, it cannot replace doctors, counselors, or pastors. It cannot make diagnoses or treatment decisions alone. It cannot discern spiritual matters, and it really cannot replace that human presence and compassion. So, could it read an X-ray? Could it read an MRI? Yes, but there is sometimes these subtleties that you need the human eye and experience in order to pick up. So AI is not perfect. It's not 100% guaranteed. So the question isn't whether AI is being used in healthcare, it already is. The real question is how we use it with wisdom, discernment, humility, and faith. Scripture reminds us that wisdom is not automatic. It must be sought. Proverbs 2, 3 through 5, and James 1 and 5. And discernment is how believers navigate tools without surrendering our values. Discernment isn't a feeling, it's a practice. The question isn't whether AI is being used in healthcare, once again, it already is. And discernment helps us ask who benefits, who is burdened, who is protected, and who is overlooked. All right. So I would say there's about 5 components to discernment. And this is going to be kind of a roadmap that you can use as you're using AI. The goal is to set this up as your initial framework in your mind. It should be kind of just innate, it should just be natural to you to go through these 5 steps in your mind and then start using AI. And if you do that, it will help to, in my opinion, it'll help to keep you safe. It could help keep your children safe if you teach these types of tools. So, 5 different components or aspects to discernment. Number 1, distinguishing wisely based on Hebrews 5:14, testing carefully, 1 Thessalonians 5:21, acting ethically, Philippians 1:9 through 10, thinking renewably, Romans 12:2, and integrating understanding, Colossians 1:9. So the first one, distinguishing wisely, based on Hebrews 5:14. Why it matters for AI in health. Discernment is not rejection or acceptance. It is a careful differentiation. It requires this Greek word. If somebody's a specialist in Greek, I might say it wrong, but diakrisis, which means weighing usefulness without surrendering judgment. Okay? Step 2, testing carefully. AI must be tested and not trusted blindly. Biblical discernment includes evaluation, not fear. We should evaluate, not fear, and test it even amongst our scriptures and what God would have us to do. Acting ethically. AI can supply data, but phronesis, another Greek term, governs action. And it's really central to ethical medical practice. Number 4, thinking renewably. Discernment flows from a transformed way of thinking. Technology shapes the mind unless the mind is renewed. If we don't think carefully, technology will slowly show us how to think, what to value, and what to trust without us even noticing it. A renewed mind asks, is this true? Is this helpful and drawing me closer to people or God? And number 5, integrating understanding. Why it matters for AI in health. AI fragments information, but discernment integrates the meaning. Does anyone have any comments? Yes.
Prior slide, go back.
Sure.
All right, right there at the end, is this drawing me closer to people or God? is that a, I'm on this camp or I'm on that camp approach? It's not, I don't see the word and. Closer to people or God.
Uh-huh.
We would want to, we would want to choose the God direction, if you will, not the people direction. Okay, I want to make sure that was clear.
That was from the assumption that we're in a community right now of believers. So, as the speaker, my understanding, the thesis is that we all believe that we need to draw closer to God, right? But it's good to point it out. Yeah, for sure. Anyone else have a comment about discernment? Can you, yes.
I love the 5 parts because I had never organized. Oh, I'm sorry.
We're recording today too.
I love the 5 parts that you've shown. It just made me think how, God is ahead of any technology we come up with. He has a plan for us, and it's up to us to dig into that word. And I thank you for what you've done to share this with us.
Yes. Yeah.
Ditto. This is excellent. I need to get better using my chart, and information's out there. So awareness and being able to take that information. Now with AI, you can have it presented in a way that you want to understand it. And so just really being aware and not being intimidated with information, because he's going to help us get through it, right? And it's our job to let others know the same, not to be intimidated. This is great.
Yes. I'm glad you used the word intimidation, because hopefully by the end of this, you're no longer intimidated. Maybe you're more curious about how it can be helpful to you. Okay, so we're gonna go through some case studies here. This is how doctors learn a lot of times. Okay. Let's see, it might be actually better if I hold this. Okay, so case study number 1. This is how we can use AI. This is how you can use AI. These are examples of what you can think about when you come home from the doctor. Okay, that's kind of the way to think about it. So, the diagnosis, meet Angela. She's a 52-year-old woman. She was recently diagnosed with hypertension. Her doctor did everything right. He explained the risks, he prescribed medication, he recommended the DASH diet, cut back on salt, eat more fruits and vegetables, whole grains, lean protein. Just a perfect plan. Just, oh, okay. But the current situation is, I mean, it sounds so like, okay, just go out and do that, right? But the situation is that she works full time. She cooks for herself and sometimes for others, has never followed a named diet of any kind. She feels overwhelmed and ashamed to ask again about any of this. And she really wants to obey her doctor, but information without application feels paralyzing. So she's just, I don't know what to do. Like, it's just difficult. Have you all felt like that sometimes? Yeah. So the problem is when she gets home, she thought, what does that actually look like on my plate? He said the DASH diet. He said cut back. What does that mean? Cut back on salt, eat more fruits and vegetables, whole grains, lean protein. What does that really mean? What does it actually look like on my plate? Okay, so what AI can do? AI can explain the DASH diet in a plain language. It can turn the medical advice into daily action. It can personalize the plan, adjusting for time, budget, and cultural food preferences. It reduces cognitive burden, so you're not thinking about it so much about generating a grocery list and providing meal prep ideas, and provide encouraging affirmations like, okay, just start with 1 meal a day. Give you a suggestion. Don't think you got to change already for 30 days. Just think 1 meal a day. Or progress matters, Anthereca, more than perfection. gives you that encouragement and helps those with the lower health literacy. Maybe you just don't understand what that means, lean protein. So that means your health literacy in that area might be a little lower, and it reduces disparities in understanding. But what AI does not do, it does not change her diagnosis. It should not adjust any medications. It should not be a replacement for her doctor or tell her to stop medical care. Instead, AI extends the physician's voice into her kitchen. And if we look at Proverbs 4:7, it says, wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding. And AI can be a source of that understanding. This is why we should not be intimidated. We should not be fearful. This is about us getting our understanding, okay? So let's try it. Let's see if this is going to work, Marvin. Let's see All right. So here we go. So we're going to go to Chat GPT. It's one of my favorites. I like Microsoft Copilot as well, but I think Chat GPT just knows me a little better. This is not my actual account, but we'll see what it comes up with. So what did we say her name was again? Anybody remember? Say it again. Angie. Okay, Angela. Okay. So let's see. We'll just type in here. And what I find when I use ChatGPT or any of these tools, and if you guys have suggestions too, shout them out. What I find is you got to become experts at describing what you want and questions. You got to become experts at coming up with questions. And the more questions you come up with, the more precise your response could be. Okay, so here we go. So let's see. I am a 52-year-old female with hypertension. My doctor told me to start the DASH diet. Have you all heard of the DASH diet? It's a diet for patients with hypertension, heart disease. Very heart-friendly diet. Oh, it's not. Let's see here. You want to switch it? Duplicate, maybe? There we go. It's kind of small. So my doctor told me to start the DASH diet. And so please, I always say please, I'm just being polite. Please create a 7-day meal plan with breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Oh, you want a snack? And a snack. What do you say? And a snack without gluten. I also have a allergy to dairy products. Okay. I know. And I okay. And then we'll say okay, and then we'll say what else might be good? My budget is, what's a good budget for a week of groceries? Somebody shout out a number. Okay, is $200 for the week. All right, let's see what it says. Oh, let's see if it's going to make me sign up for free. Hold on. Oh, stay logged up. There we go. Thank you. All right. So this is Chat GPT's response. Got it. Thanks for the details. You can absolutely do a DASH style plan that's gluten-free, dairy-free, heart healthy, and budget friendly. Below is a 7-day meal plan designed to be low sodium, high potassium, magnesium, fiber, and realistic for about $200 a week, assuming basic pantry items like olive oil, spices, and salt-free seasonings are available, okay? So quick refresher, Dash Basics focus on vegetables, fruit, lean protein, legumes, and whole grains. It's limited in salt, processed foods, and red meat. And dairy normally is included, but we'll replace that with plant sources of calcium and protein. And here you go. Here's your whole meal plan: breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Okay. So then I'm gonna say, can you create this in a table with the rows being the day of the week and the columns being the meal type? Enter. Here we go. Absolutely. And there you go. Okay. So then I say, can you create this into a downloadable PDF? Just for the sake of time, I'm just progressing here. PDF. And it'll analyze it. Yeah. So it says download your PDF here. So let's say I click on it. It's failed to upload status for some reason, but usually you click on it, it downloads it, and it's right there. And this is just the free version of Chat GPT, right? I haven't paid any monthly fee. You could go on here yourself and just boom, 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 start doing it. Okay. So everybody see how that works? Yeah. All right. Yeah.
As you continue to, it's all about prompts. And some people are visual people.
Mhm.
So Sister Lane did a great job of going through. You could say, show me the images of the top 5 or 6 foods. So that's another
Yeah.
thing too, because a visual, because we see a lot of data. So that's just I noticed that's pretty.
Yeah, that's a great thing. If shout out some other things you might ask about that, like for example, generate me a grocery list. What else would you ask ChatGPT about that meal plan?
Is this
Yes,
is this one?
It's on. It's on.
Okay. I really love how you told it to do the columns and the rows.
Yeah,
I had never done that before. So that was new for me. But I put in, I wanted to eat some vegetables and I bought some mushrooms and some peppers and I said, give me a recipe. And
yeah,
it was excellent. It was
yeah,
excellent. So, because I was trying to lose weight that one day, just one day.
yeah, yeah. I actually got that idea from my nephew Jules. He said that he often will use AI for his air fryer recipes because he cooks for his son. And I thought, oh, I need to try that. And I did. And it was actually a really great recipe, so it was good. All right. Next case study. Oh, we have another one?
So I was going to say one thing that I've done, and I know Brother Curtis kind of mentioned it, but you can actually do that. I put it in there and say, how can I make it realistically for me with 4 kids? How can I balance it out? And it really does show you that. So it's crazy and kind of scary how far it can go. It can do stuff like that. Like, how can I make it realistic for me? And it will break it down. Like, okay, what are your issues? Okay, this is how you combat it.
And as a physician, this is exciting to me to be able to tell a patient, hey, I need you to do this. I'm not actually versed in all the nutrition processes and all the different diet plans and all that. But to have this level of information at your fingertips, most people do have a phone, a tablet, a computer, or they can go to the library and use those things as well. So it's just exciting to have something that will allow a patient to really develop the lifestyle modifications that they need to be healthier. Okay. All right. Here's case number 2. The diagnosis: meet James, a 58-year-old man. He has type 2 diabetes. His doctor has explained A1C, recommended lifestyle changes, prescribed medication, told him to watch carbs, lose some weight, and exercise. James leaves the appointment motivated but confused. So I'm sure we've all at some point felt that way, right? So, current situation, James is not non compliant, but he is overwhelmed. He doesn't fully understand how foods affect blood sugar, eats what he grew up eating, and is unsure how to read food labels. He checks his glucose, but doesn't know what the numbers mean today. And he feels discouraged and quietly ashamed. I find that interesting in both of these case studies. There's kind of this sense of embarrassment or being ashamed to ask questions. Have all of you at some point felt kind of like, if I ask this, that's gonna be a stupid question kind of thing, you know? And we really shouldn't feel that way, right? When we're talking to our healthcare providers. So he thinks, I don't want to keep bothering my doctor. I really should already know this. So the problem is that I have type 2 diabetes. I'm taking my medication, but my blood sugar is still high. I need help understanding what I'm doing wrong without judgment. So, what AI can do? AI explains without being condescending. One number doesn't define success or failure. So it's kind of making him feel better. Like, okay, that one number, that hemoglobin A1C, doesn't define your success or failure, although your doctor may have really been focused on you don't have your hemoglobin A1C under 7. So that made him feel like a failure, I'm sure. It connects behavior to biology. This is what AI can do. When you eat white bread, your sugar spikes faster than with whole grains. Oh, I didn't know that. I always buy white bread. Had no idea. And it personalizes the plan. What foods do you eat most often? And it supports daily decision making. How do I recover after a high reading? What AI does not do is it doesn't adjust the insulin or the medications. It doesn't interpret hemoglobin A1C trends independently. It doesn't replace a diabetes educator or physician. It doesn't override medical advice. It's not going to tell you, like, well, I wouldn't do what your doctor said. I would do this. It wouldn't do that. And it wouldn't replace clinical judgment. And I'm saying wouldn't, but it shouldn't, right? AI is not an authority and really should just support adherence to the plan that your doctor or your healthcare provider has established. So Hosea 4:6 says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. So this really is about somebody who they just don't really know. They don't. Do you have the microphone for Sister Treva?
This that part there just made me think, if certain doctors have certain, like I think he said Huffy has their own internal thing. If certain doctors have their own co-pilot,
Mm-hmm.
and if you find out the high achieving doctors have a certain co-pilot, can people subscribe to that particular co-pilot and get their advice versus the doctor they can afford, you know?
Right. That's a good question. Good question. Okay, Marvin, come tell me how to switch it back again. FNF5. Okay. Okay. Was it duplicate? Is that what you did?
No. There you go.
Okay. All right. So who wants to help me out here? What do you think we should ask? I mentioned about lifestyle adjustments. One way could go, maybe he doesn't know about exercise, but it seemed like he really needed to know about his diet, right? What's a question you would ask to help him understand a little bit better?
What does it say about?
Hmm. I'm trying to get them on the fly, though, the exercise of creating a question. Yeah. But good point. Yeah.
You didn't understand about carbs. Like
Right.
what did the doctor say? Avoid carbs or
Mhm.
something. So
Okay. So, and I think was he 58 years old? That's when I need to start cutting and pasting. Okay, let's see. So I am a 58-year-old male with type 2 diabetes. I need to understand
Carbs affect my
okay, how
blood
carbs
sugar or A1C or whatever.
affect my blood sugar.
Is this a new search or is it still?
No, it's a actually this one might be this one. It's a new one, but this one actually might be building just because it's still in the same. Let me see if I can open up. Good point. Yeah, I'll just for the sake of experience, we'll just leave it like this. Okay. All right, but true. You actually can go and start a new chat. Okay. I'm just not logged in, so some of my options aren't available over here. Okay. So let's just see what it says. I need to understand how carbs affect my blood sugar. Let's just see what it says. So first it affirms you, which I always like that. I like when it says, that's an excellent question. I always like when it says that or that's so insightful. I really love that. Like I'm like, wow, okay. Yeah. So it says you're asking a really important question. And understanding this can make diabetes much easier to manage. I'll explain it clearly without jargon and then give you practical takeaways you can use right away. So, plain English, how carbohydrates affect blood sugar. Carbohydrates turn into glucose in your bloodstream. When you eat carbs, your digestive system breaks them down into glucose, which raises your blood sugar. In people without diabetes, insulin moves the glucose into cells efficiently. In type 2 diabetes, your body does not respond well to insulin and doesn't make enough insulin. So glucose stays in the blood longer, therefore, high blood sugar levels. Was that pretty good? Did you all follow that? Okay. But it's important to know that not all carbs are the same. And this is huge for diabetes. Simple carbs spike the blood sugar quickly. So, sugar, honey, syrup, white bread, white rice, fruit juice, soda, sweets, and pastries. And what happens is you have a rapid digestion, a sharp blood sugar spike, your insulin surges, and then you crash later. That's why you feel exhausted, right? And then it goes on to discuss complex carbs. They have a slower, smaller rise, like beans and lentils, whole grains, vegetables. They contain fiber, which slows the digestion and glucose absorption. And then it says fiber is your best friend. It reduces blood sugar spikes, and you want to aim for 25 to 38 grams of fiber today. And the other thing with carbs is portion size matters. And even good carbs can raise your blood sugar if portions are large. Visual portion guide. So it tells you, like, okay, a cooked rice, about a half a cup is what you want. Beans, about a half a cup. Fruit, a small piece or 1 cup of berries. And starchy veggies, about a half a cup. And then there's something called the glycemic index or glycemic load, which the glycemic index is how fast the carbohydrate raises the blood sugar. Glycemic load is the glycemic index plus the portion size. So the lower, the better. And sometimes that's printed on things, or sometimes you can take it. There's apps where you can take pictures of things and it can tell you what the glycemic index is, or it can tell you what the glycemic load is, or the calories, or whatever it is that it's saying. So anyway, it just continues to go on and on. Does anyone have a follow-up question in regards to diet? Yes.
But yes, in addition, I
Mhm.
always say thanks, but what,
Please provide me the best workout schedule and suggested, like a workout schedule daily or weekly, and then how much time each day to incorporate the information you just provided.
Okay. Let's say, why don't we modify it to say to lose uh, 20 pounds, I am currently, um,
Yep. So that's good for me. So currently I weigh 270 pounds,
and how tall are you?
6'3".
And 6 feet 3 inches.
Yeah,
Let's
because it's
see.
going to be different from everyone. That's a
Right.
good point.
You're welcome. And nice job asking the right question. Exercise matters a lot for fat loss, insulin sensitivity, and blood sugar control. I'll give you a safe, effective, realistic weekly workout plan, including time per day. So then it wrote down 58-year-old male, 270 pounds, 6 feet 3 inches, lose 20 pounds, fat, not muscle. And I'll also be honest about expectations. So this feels doable and not punishing. So then it goes through and creates a realistic weight loss timeline, about 1 to 1.5 pounds per week. Exercise priorities to lose fat and improve your diabetes. It mentions walking, cardio, strength training, and consistency over intensity. Okay. And total weekly time 250 to 300 minutes weekly. Okay. And this is the sweet spot for fat loss and diabetes control. And then it goes on to give you a weekly workout plan. For example, Monday, you're going to do 45 minutes of brisk walking, but you can split that into 2 sessions of 22 minutes. It goes for each day. And then it says cardio details, very important. The best option is walking. Why? Because it's low joint stress, great glucose control, and sustainable at 270 pounds. It goes on to talk about strength training. And then optional, you can add an after meal walk and how all this leads to 20-pound weight loss and safety tips. So you all can see like how this is just, I mean, you can just keep going on and more questions, right? So that's excellent. Let's see here.
For the bikes, we have no excuse.
Yes.
Willpower.
Oh.
I have a question because sometimes things are given based on your ethnicity.
Yes.
So can you modify that to say an African American male
Okay.
and see if it changes?
Yes. How could you modify this plan for an African American male? Great question. And I'm really glad you asked it directly. Physiology doesn't change because of race, but risk patterns, lived experience, culture, and response priorities absolutely matter, especially for African American men with type 2 diabetes. So the exercise structure stays similar, but how we emphasize the pace and support, it changes. And then it says, what does change? African American men statistically have higher rates of hypertension, cardiovascular disease, higher insulin resistance, higher risk of joint issues, and more benefit from consistent moderate activity versus sporadic intense workouts. So we modified the plan to protect the heart, reduce injury risk, improve the insulin sensitivity, and increase long-term adherence. And then the whole plan was modified. Excellent question. Yeah, excellent. Okay, let's see here. I think I got out of my. Yes. Yes.
If you were to put in, just say, an example of a meal that you would normally eat and ask the platform, how will this affect my blood sugar?
Okay. Do you want to say like fried chicken and greens, something like that?
Potato or high pasta diet, high potato, potato rich diet, whatever.
Okay.
How will this affect my diet? And what can I eat to replace this? What is something that will not affect my blood sugar as much?
How about I say, how would a typical soul food diet with fried foods, greens seasoned with ham hock, let's see, candied yams and mac and cheese affect my Blood sugar. All right.
Morning.
All right. So it says this is an excellent and very real question. I'll answer it honestly, respectfully, and without judgment. Because food is culture and biology, and both matter. Okay. Now, a short answer is a typical soul food plate can cause large, prolonged blood sugar spikes, especially with type 2 diabetes. But it's not bad food and it can be modified so you don't have to give it up entirely. Let's break it down dish by dish and then talk about the overall effect. And then it goes on to talk about a common plate might include fried chicken or fish, greens cooked with ham, hot candy yams, and mac and cheese. This combination hits multiple blood sugar stress points at once. So, with the blood sugar from the fried foods, the breading is a refined carb. The frying adds fat and slows digestions and delays your blood sugar spikes. What you'll often see on a meter, blood sugar looks okay at 2 hours, but then rises later and stays elevated longer. So you might look at it and be like, oh, I'm good. But then later, check again because it's going to get higher and stay high longer. This delayed spike is especially common in people with insulin resistance. So it just keeps going on and on. So that's good. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I,
Okay. Yes.
I think your discernment part fits right there because it seemed like it was itching ears conversation. It was telling you what you wanted to hear,
Right.
like it's okay to eat that food,
Right.
but it's really not.
Right. Exactly. Okay. So I think you all get the. Oh, you have another comment? Yes.
I just had a question. Is this on?
Yeah.
Back in grade school, the health teacher would speak about moderation. And I know there's heredity plays a part in people as they develop as well. But they said moderation is very, very important, not to eat too much of this or that.
Right.
And doesn't matter if you're tall or short or whatever. They talked about moderation. Please don't overeat.
Right. Yeah. And for the sake of time, we'll go on. But you could ask ChatGPT to create an image for you of what your plate should look like, so that you know like what your portion sizes should be. Yes, Jordan.
That's gonna be difficult because Thanksgiving tastes so good.
I know. I know it's difficult to stay skinny to stay skinny because it tastes so good. Yeah. Okay. All right. Case number 3. We won't go out and try it, but you have the gist of where we're going here. But case number 3, the person is, we'll call her Mayor Michelle. She is a respected professional, highly competent, spiritually grounded, and always the strong one. Outwardly, she is functioning, but inwardly, she is exhausted. So, the current situation, she sleeps, but she doesn't feel rested. She feels emotionally numb, is irritable with people she loves. She prays, but she feels distant. She doesn't feel depressed enough to seek help. She doesn't want this on her professional record. And she just tells herself, I just need to push through. So the problem is, I feel burned out. I'm functioning, but I'm exhausted and detached. I don't want a diagnosis. I just need help naming what's happening. So, what AI can do, AI can name the experience. Burnout often looks like emotional exhaustion, depersonalization, and reduced sense of meaning. AI can create psychological safety, a private, non judgmental space, and offers gentle, actionable steps, such as why don't you start a reflective journal and create these journal prompts for you? And it can encourage human support. If this continues or worsens, consider talking with a counselor, a physician, or trusted spiritual leader. And what AI must never become is replace therapy. Normalize suffering to the point of silence, encourage isolation, become a digital confessional with no accountability. And burnout requires community, care, and sometimes clinical intervention. Burnout is not a moral failure, it is often the cost of prolonged faithfulness without replenishment. Mark 6:31 says, "Come away by yourselves to a quiet place and get some rest." Rest is a biblical principle. We should embrace that. I need to remember that myself. All right. So for the sake of time, we won't go out and try it, but you could go out and ask the same type of questions, okay? So we'll get through the rest of our presentation. We appreciate you all's time so much. So when AI is not enough when immediate human help is needed. When there is thoughts of self-harm or suicide, thoughts of harming others, severe depression, panic attacks, psychosis, substance abuse, domestic violence, or medical emergencies. And what AI must not do in a crisis is replace emergency services, act as a therapist or a pastor, offer false reassurance, encourage secrecy or isolation, or minimize suffering and discourage professional help. What ethical AI should do is clearly state its limits, encourage immediate human support, provide crisis resources, promote safety and connection, and reinforce that seeking help is strength, not failure. God never intended healing to happen in isolation. We are one body with many members. 1 Corinthians 12. So, a few scriptures to meditate on. Plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors, they succeed. Once again, creating that village around you when you need help. Proverbs 15:22. Carry each other's burdens, and in this way, you will fulfill the law of Christ. Galatians 6:2. So, getting back to discernment. Why discernment? AI can be a first mirror, but it can never be a final refuge. Any tool that replaces community, care, or accountability has crossed a dangerous line. Discernment is knowing when to use technology and when to lay it down. Discernment says to seek human help in times of crisis. Discernment sets boundaries. Remember that AI is not a shepherd. It's not a savior or a substitute for community. Discernment uses tools without surrendering wisdom. It helps to clarify thoughts. It can encourage reflection and prayer. It can support learning and preparation and prompt next faithful steps. So, a rule of thumb, use AI as a tool and not a trust. It's helpful to improve your understanding, prepare questions, like what we did today, support daily habits and lifestyle modifications, reflect and organize thoughts to learn and explore options. Remember this, AI can inform, but only God and people, and really it's just God, but it's talking about people from the standpoint of the humanistic. There needs to be a humanistic aspect of us being a village, and people can heal. Only God and people can heal. Another rule of thumb, technology can extend our reach. It should never replace our responsibility to care for one another. You should never have a minister that says to you, okay, get on Chat GPT and this is what you do. Although you can use Chat GPT to develop devotionals. Sometimes if I'm having a rough week, I might say, I need a devotion on encouragement. Give me top 5 scriptures I should memorize this week. I mean, you can just go on and on about how it could be helpful in that way. And so, a discernment check I'd like to leave you with. Does This, referring to AI or any new technological advances that we encounter as Christians, does this align with wisdom and truth? Does this draw me toward a healthy community or isolation? Does this support what my doctor, counselor, or pastor has said? And am I using AI to grow or am I using it to hide? Because I just don't want to share it with anybody. I don't want to be embarrassed. We talked about that. I don't want to be judged. I don't want to be ashamed. Am I using it to hide or am I using it to grow? Okay? All right. Marvin, I'm going to ask you to come up. We're going to have you all join us in a closing call and response prayer, okay? And hopefully you can read it. If not, Marvin will do the leader part and I'll do the all part so that we can help each other here. All right. You might want to use that.
All right. So actually, I went back through some of my text messages with my daughter. It was Salesforce, and Salesforce does a whole lot of stuff. So she was at Microsoft. Now she went back to Salesforce. So
I always tell Marvin his brain is like a computer. It's loading, and then it
so
comes.
y'all have seen the beach ball, right? It'll get there.
All right.
All right.
Thank you so much for today. We are so happy to have you.
All right. So gracious and wise God, we thank you for the gift of knowledge and for the wisdom that comes from you alone. So
If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God. James 1:5.
Lord, help us to use every tool wisely, never mistaking information for truth and never allowing technology to replace love.
Test everything. Hold fast to what is good. 1 Thessalonians 5:21.
Teach us discernment to know when to use tools and when to seek human care.
Plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors they succeed. Proverbs 15:22.
For those who are weary, burned out, or carrying unseen burdens, remind us that we were never meant to walk alone.
Carry one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ. Galatians 6:2.
When life feels overwhelming and decisions feel heavy, help us choose community over isolation and wisdom over fear.
Two are better than one. If every fails, one can help the other up. Ecclesiastes 4:9-10. And this is everyone together. God, we place our health, our minds, and our choices into your hands. May your spirit guide us as we leave this place to love, serve, and care for one another well. Amen. Amen. Thank you.
So I know that, we covered a lot of different things. Does anyone have like any questions or comments or anything?
I'm sorry, I just got to testify. I was sharing with Brother Lane that I came off of corporate training. It's mandatory. 14 people, so it could be sales, finance, IT. So I participated 2 weeks ago, 2 full days. Also in December, Sister Lane going through meeting with my doctor, annual checkup, and then going through the whole nutrition thing. I'm not there when it comes to diabetes yet, but what can I do type stuff using my chart. So I wanted to say that going through the corporate training 2 weeks ago and then going through what I went through with TriHealth, my nutrition, you've done an excellent job today explaining how AI is going to impact from the health side, because that's your lane, but also from a biblical standpoint, which you tied in. And what I went through from a corporate level 2 weeks ago, this is great. So I just wanted to, first of all, give you guys a shout out. And I just have one tag team, one comment for those who are using AI, Notes, I think it's Notes LM. So it really can get all your PDFs like she took you through today. You're taking notes, you're asking all these different questions, all these different prompts flashcards, presentations, and it's through Gemini, but that's a powerful tool. Notes, it's like your personal assistant. So for those who I know you guys may know. So I just want.
So there's actually one program that I got to kind of fool around with in one of my courses that I had taken. And so for those people who it might just be like difficult, seeing things or reading texts or anything like that. It is a program, and it will still need to learn, so it's not perfect, but it's Seeing AI, and so. Oh, sorry. The program is called Seeing AI, and so it can read texts. It can actually tell you there's a computer with an image of something on the computer and all those kinds of things. So it can actually read things and read it back to you. So it's a little useful tool for anyone that might have like some visual challenges or anything like that. So it is for your phone. You would use your camera. You would point it at whatever it is you're trying to read. You would point it to whatever you're trying to read, and then it would read it back to you. It's pretty cool. So.
Yes, Jordan.
Thank you. So I just wanted to say that my chart is a very great tool because I have been in mental health journey for almost 10 years, and I was at many hospitals or many doctors, and I my chart allows you to link those hospitals and doctors together on the app. So that is a great tool. So I wouldn't bypass that.
So seeing AI. Seeing, and I will spell that out. And it is so seeing SEEING.
Okay.
Space AI.
Okay. And what about Salesforce?
So that's just my daughter. That's the company
Oh, that's
she
your
works
daughter.
with.
Okay,
Yeah.
got you.
So that's what who she works with. So.
Have I watched it? Not yet. Well, they have this scenario where she's using passport. Oh, really? And they're in the AI doesn't fill the right word. Oh, the wrong guy.
All right, did we get everybody's questions or anything? All right, how about one more round of applause for the Lanes? Thank you guys so much. As you can tell from their presentation, this took quite a bit of work to put this together. They may have used IA in their preparation. But we truly do appreciate them. We're thankful for the members of our church family here at Kennedy Heights, also for Northeast and Withamsville for being here with us today. Please feel free to share all of the information. You've got that QR code. Feel free to take one of those. You can actually take those flyers from the table back to your prospective congregations so that they can download that information as well. Thank you, everyone, for being here. If you have additional questions that come up in the near future, I am sure that Brother and Sister Lane will be happy to assist you with that. And with that being said, God bless you all. We are dismissed for today.
Thank you.